Hello, wonderful adventurers! Welcome to the little town of Puffford, where the streets are lined with the sweetest smells and the air is always full of surprises. Today, we're about to meet a girl named Tilly, whose imagination is as big as her heart. But when Tilly discovers a very special tree, things get a whole lot more interesting than she ever expected. Tilly lived in Puffford, a place so quaint it could have come straight out of a fairy tale. With her bright blue boots and a red scarf that always seemed to flutter in the wind, Tilly was known for one thing: her imagination was wild. Every day after school, Tilly would race to the forest that bordered Puffford, running past the village square and waving to the baker, the postman, and even old Mr. Bumble, the town's grumpy cat. But the real excitement happened when Tilly stepped into the forest. For you see, this wasn't just any forest. Oh no, this was the whistling forest named for the strange sound that filled the air whenever the wind blew. It sounded like 1,000 tiny whistles coming from every tree, and no one had ever figured out why. One day, as Tilly was walking through the forest, she noticed something odd. There, in a small clearing, stood a tree unlike any she'd ever seen before. It was covered in waffles, yes, waffles instead of leaves. And the waffles were all whistling. They were singing, if you can believe it. What in the world? Tilly whispered to herself, her eyes widening with excitement. A whistling waffle tree. The waffles on the tree didn't look like regular waffles, though. They had little faces, and they were giggling and whistling in harmony, making the air shimmer with their sweet musical sound. Tilly stepped closer, her heart racing with curiosity. She had always loved discovering new things, but this was something truly magical. "Hello?" Tilly called out, not sure what to expect. To her surprise, one of the waffles on the tree wiggled its little golden eyebrows and shouted, "Oh, a visitor! How wonderful! Welcome to the whistling waffle tree." Tilly gasped. You can talk?" she asked, hardly believing her ears. "Of course, dear. We can all talk. We're waffles after all, but with a whistle of magic," the waffle chirped happily. Tilly giggled. "This is the best thing I've ever seen," she exclaimed. "How did you get here? What are you doing in this tree?" The waffle scratched its crispy surface and grinned. "Well, we've been here for years, making music, spreading happiness, and filling the forest with our sweet melodies. But lately, we've been having a bit of a problem." "A problem?" Tilly asked, tilting her head. "Yes," the waffle said. "We've run out of syrup." "Syrup?" Tilly raised an eyebrow. "How can a waffle tree run out of syrup?" she asked, trying not to laugh. The waffle sighed dramatically. "Oh, dear Tilly. You see, without syrup, we can't whistle our magic properly. Without the syrup, the forest will lose its magic, and the sound of the forest will fade away. We'll all be stuck in silence forever." Tilly's heart sank. She couldn't imagine a world without the magical whistling of the forest. The whistling waffle tree was the heart of the forest. It was alive with music and laughter. "But how can we find syrup?" Tilly asked, worried. "There's no syrup shop around here." "Ah," said the waffle with a twinkle in its eye. "You'll need to venture to the Maple Mountain to find the golden syrup spring. Only there can the syrup be harvested. But beware, it's not an easy journey. The mountain is full of strange and tricky puzzles that only the bravest adventurers can solve." "Brave? Puzzles?" Tilly asked, now even more curious. "I'm up for it. I'll find your syrup." Tilly set off with determination. She followed the waffle's directions and trekked deep into the heart of the forest. She came across a stream that hummed as it flowed, a patch of mushrooms that giggled when she touched them, and a hill that seemed to roll under her feet. But then, she reached the base of Maple Mountain. The air was thick with mist, and the path was steep and winding. At the top, she could see a small, glowing, golden light shining from the rocks. But as Tilly made her way up the mountain, she encountered her first puzzle. In front of her stood a stone door, and etched into the rock was a riddle. "I can be cracked, I can be made, I can be told, I can be played. What am I?" Tilly scratched her head, thinking hard. Then, a smile spread across her face. "A joke!" she exclaimed, excited. "It's a joke!" The door creaked open, and Tilly skipped through, laughing at herself for not realizing it sooner. She had solved the first puzzle. Next came the whistling trees. They were tall and covered in glittering leaves that shimmered in the sunlight. To pass, Tilly had to make them laugh. "Why do trees never tell secrets?" she asked the trees, her voice full of mischief. "Why?" they all whispered in unison. "Because the leaves always leave the story behind," Tilly giggled. The trees swayed and shook, their branches bursting with laughter. One of the trees even whistled in approval. "Well done, young adventurer," the trees said, parting their branches to reveal the golden spring up ahead. Tilly finally reached the golden syrup spring. The water sparkled like liquid gold, and the air smelled sweet. She filled her jar with syrup, feeling a warm magic fill her heart. When she returned to the whistling waffle tree, the waffles cheered. "You did it! You saved the forest," they sang. Tilly poured the syrup onto the tree's waffles, and instantly the air filled with the most beautiful melody. The waffles began to whistle, and the entire forest seemed to come alive with magic. "Thank you, Tilly," said the tree. "You've saved us all with your bravery, kindness, and laughter. The forest is yours to enjoy forever. And now, you're the honorary syrup queen of Puffford." Tilly smiled, proud of her adventure. She had brought magic back to the forest and learned that the greatest treasures in life are not gold or syrup, the joy you share along the way. And so, Tilly returned to Puffford, the syrup-filled forest, and her new title as Syrup Queen. From that day on, every time the waffles whistled, the village would gather to listen and laugh together. And Tilly? She never stopped seeking out new adventures, with a heart full of magic and a smile to share with everyone. Remember, friends, sometimes the sweetest adventures are the ones filled with laughter and a touch of syrup. Thanks for joining us on this magical journey. If you loved this story, make sure to share the laughter, like, and subscribe for more fun tales. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep laughing, and never stop believing in magic.